Cizzle Biotechnology is a UK-based developer of a blood test for the early detection of a majority of different forms of lung cancer. Now, the company's announced today that it's signed a heads of terms to partner with CorePath Laboratories to develop and offer its proprietary early lung cancer test throughout the USA. Joining me today to discuss the news is Cizzle Biotechnology Executive Chairman, Allan Syms. Allan, good morning to you.
Well, good morning. Delighted to speak to you and so excited about our announcement today for the USA.
Likewise. It's an interesting deal signed with CorePath Laboratories to develop your early stage lung cancer test. Can you talk us through what the partnership will mean?
Yes, indeed. Very happy to do so. Of course, the USA is such an important market for us. And part of our strategy to make our test available throughout the world is to select those key partners in each of the key areas, as we did earlier in the year in China. This particular deal in the USA is very important because of the high number of lung cancer sufferers in the USA. Of course, there are many around the world, but this year alone, there will be 236,000 new people diagnosed with lung cancer in the USA. It's a staggeringly high number. And unfortunately, 130,000 people will die this year alone. And so there is a real need to address what is the biggest killer of people from cancer in the world, and particularly in the USA, where today over 500,000 people have been diagnosed with lung cancer. So there is a great need for our technology in the USA, and partnering with such a leading pathology group as CorePath provides that bridgehead for us to enter that marketplace. So very important that we partner with the right people. What does that mean? Well, in the case of CorePath, what that means is we get access to an accredited pathology supplier that is a specialist in the oncology space. They're a leading group throughout the USA, and they are well respected, not only from healthcare providers, but also from the biopharmaceutical industry itself. That means that we get access to doctors and clinicians, hospitals, their corporate sort of profile that they have. Most importantly, of course, is access for our technology to benefit patients throughout the United States from the services that CorePath offers. So they will be providing development capability. They'll provide access to clinical samples. They will help development through the regulatory process. They will ensure that the test gets certified because they are a certified laboratory. And ultimately, of course, they will then offer the test to those healthcare providers and patients throughout the states.
Excellent. That's great news. Can you tell us a bit more about CorePath Laboratories and what they actually do?
Well, as I sort of alluded to, CorePath are a pathology group, which means that they are the group that your blood samples and tissues go to be analysed, in much the same way as we have pathology groups here in the UK. But they are a specialist oncology group as well, which means that they have particular focus on cancer. And that means that they've got particular focus on the consultants and doctors that are providing oncology services in the States. And, as a group, they service a lot of the United States, in many of the states, for their services. As a leading and an accredited group, I think, it's fantastic that we've been able to sign up such a leading group to deliver our services in the States.
It certainly is. Now, lung cancer is obviously a big issue affecting many people. Can you tell us a bit about Cizzle's proprietary detection test and how it can potentially help sufferers?
Well, it's a sad fact that there are no simple blood tests available for early lung cancer detection. And what does that mean? Well, I've already said that lung cancer is the biggest killer. And the reason it's the biggest killer is because it can't be diagnosed very early, very easily. To date, the best way of doing it is through CT scanning. And many people only get diagnosed as having an early stage lung cancer incidentally. In other words, they've gone to hospital, they've had an X-ray, they've had a CT scan, and the doctor has identified a small nodule, and that has to be considered suspicious and will be treated as if it could be an early stage lung cancer. And the problem with that is that actually 90% of the time it isn't. cancer. It's some other reason that nodule's there. So you have a lot of people that have this, if you like, false positive diagnosis. What's needed is a confirmatory blood test that could work alongside that and actually rule those people that don't have cancer out of the cancer care pathway. And what we're doing is that the work that was done by Professor Coverley at the University of York identified a protein that finds its way into the blood at the very earliest stage of the creation of a cancer cell. So whilst it's a normal functioning protein in the body, when a lung cancer arises, there is a change in this protein. This protein is spilled into the blood. The protein is called Ciz1b, hence our name, Cizzle Biotechnology. And we have a test that can detect the presence of that, which gives a very good indication of whether or not a patient has an early stage lung cancer. So our proprietary technology is about making a very simple blood test that can detect the presence of that protein, which indicates whether you do or don't have a very early stage lung cancer.
Just to conclude then, can you tell us a bit more about how Cizzle is developing in other areas and what the rest of the year holds for the company?
Well, I think I said early on that the strategy the company deploys is one of partnerships, which is that we have to have partners that provide us with technologies and development. We have partners that are localized in different regions in the world. And our strategy is not to build up big overheads for the company itself, but to get those services provided by experts, whether they be antibody suppliers, whether they be people specialized in getting a test accredited and certified by regulatory authorities, whether or not they're a provider of tests, and whether or not by offering that they generate revenue. So we are very much about partnerships, but very selected key partnerships around the world. And that's what we've been doing since we came to market. Earlier this year, we had said that we had a deal in China which will generate us 10% royalties on the sales of our products in China. And it is estimated by our Chinese partners that there is a need for 30 million tests a year in China. And the United States is also a very large market. And in this market, we've secured a 15% royalty on revenues that arise. So this is a revenue-generating exercise to pull these partners together. So one of our key things is to continue to develop the partnerships. Obviously, we'd like something nearer to home in the UK and in Europe. So we'll try to progress that. But we're trying to find those big markets. We're trying to do it through partnerships that will provide revenue to the company through royalty streams. The other thing that we've done since we came to market, and we did come to market with the simple goal that we would develop our proprietary technology for early lung cancer, is to broaden out our capabilities to say, well, actually our technology is applicable perhaps not just to lung cancer, but also to other cancers. So we will be broadening out our interest, looking at other cancers to see how our technology may be applied there. And I think that's very important. We also did a deal to look at what are called companion diagnostics. And companion diagnostics are diagnostic tests to identify and select people that might best respond to a particular therapeutic approach. And we signed a deal with St. George Street Capital early in the year. We want to build on that relationship. We want to get that companion diagnostic process going. We want to extend our ability to do other companion diagnostics. And of course, at the end of that also, we announced several deals during our year of actually getting royalty stakes in the drugs that get developed because there's a companion diagnostic that we're involved in. So, it would be interesting to see if we can extend that so that as a company, we're very much a portfolio business that builds off of its prime interest in its proprietary technology for lung cancer, extends it for other cancers, builds our companion diagnostics, generates the opportunity for revenue from royalties attached to drugs that are used to treat those patients. But, most importantly of all, really, as a business, what we're focused on doing is bringing new technology to unmet clinical needs, and play our part in saving lives.
Sounds great. Okay. Joining us today was Allan Syms, the Executive Chairman at Cizzle Biotechnology. Allan, thanks for joining us on Directors Talk today.
Thank you for having me. Much appreciated.